Welcome to another video tutorial from 2dgameartguru.com. Today I'm working in Affinity Designer version 2, showing you how to use the shape builder for an entangled pencil t-shirt design. I'll be using the pen tool, adjust with the node tool, use the shape builder to get the entangled effect, and finally add some grunge textures. In the process I'll be using a lot of strokes, expand those strokes and turn them into curves to have shapes to work with the shape builder. I start by setting up my stroke. I want a rather thick stroke with proper width for the base of the pencils. Rounded caps, they will either be the rubber or the tip, and the rounded part is easy to convert into a pointy tip. Usually when you create a design with a certain complexity, it helps to have a sketch. I should try it one day, I've totally forgot. Instead I went straight for the pen tool and started creating. So this is what happens when you work without a sketch. It will take a few more adjustments to get the initial idea into a workable design. For now I'm starting with 3 lines. At the moment they are overlapping. In the end I want them interwoven. I'm trying to avoid cluttered areas. As soon as all 3 lines cross in the same area, it will be really hard to distinguish, so I'm trying to open it up a little bit, delete some loops, avoid lines that loop on themselves. Those, if you convert them to curves, turn into X shapes and have no way to create an above and below. In order to make those loops work, add an additional node and separate the lines at that node. That way you have 2 lines, which makes 2 shapes, which gives you an above and below. The design is still looking messy, which is the idea, but a lot more organized than the initial 3 lines I put down. Now I duplicate my lines in order to keep an editable version. I lock that group, hide it, and work with the newly created group and expand the strokes. That turns my 3 lines into curves. Curves that can have an own stroke. I give them a fill with my base color and a new stroke on the outside, adjust the widths and color the fill and the stroke with my global colors. This will make changes or color variations a lot easier. I duplicate my group again, expand the stroke. I have the stroke as well as the fill as shapes. Before going in with the shape builder, I select one pass, trying to alter between going above and below the lines it's crossing. I have all actions unselected, that way I can make my selection first and then create a new curve. With a complex design like this, it helps to work with one segment at a time instead of trying to get all shapes done right in the first go. Once I've selected all the shapes for the first pencil, I click on the Create New Curve from selection. I assign a temporary color to this new curve to make it stand out and show me what has been done before selecting my group of shapes again and creating the next pass with the shape builder. Once I select elements I don't want, I can click on them again and they will be unselected. I create a new curve for the second path, give it a color and repeat the process for the last one. With all 3 lines done, I hide my base group, remove the stroke and end up with 3 entangled lines separated by gaps. I combine the 3 curves I've created via the boolean add and give them a fill and a stroke. I use my global colors and set the stroke to the same width as it had before. I go back to the older version of the lines, copy them and paste them on top of my count design. I adjust the width of the stroke to be a little thinner than the original, expand the stroke and give the new curve a thinner outline. That way I have 2 lines running inside. I use the node tool to cut those lines to match the above and below of the main lines. You could use the new knife tool for this. I just find it easier to add nodes where I need them and then go in and delete the parts in between. I also add a few gaps to make those lines not totally solid, give them a little bit of a worn look with the gaps in between. I delete the lines at the very end. These will be either the end of the rubber or the tip of the pencil. With all the main lines in place, it's time to fix some of the corners that I don't really like. I go in with the node tool, delete some of the nodes that are looking a little too squarish. I take my current design, the curve with the inner curves as a child in the clipping mask, turn it into a symbol to create a preview. I have this photo of a t-shirt and I copy the symbol and scale it down. I forgot to adjust the stroke width to scale with the object. I had to change that. Using the pen tool, I add 2 lines at the base. This is where the rubber end of the pencil will be, and shorten the 2 inner lines accordingly. For the gaps in the lines, I use the knife tool, draw a quick zigzag and delete the parts in between. Only to revert back to the node tool. Probably out of habit, it just feels faster and easier. I use the pen tool and add a line at the tip of the pencils. The nice thing about the rounded caps of the lines I used prior is the fact that they already have a center node that I can now move out with the node tool before clicking on the line while holding Alt to straighten the curved line that lead up to the center point. A triangle with a white fill using the global color makes the tip of the pencil. By scaling the symbol rather than the content of the symbol, I can make my work area slightly smaller to add decoration while keeping the size of the t-shirt preview unchanged. The advantage of using the symbol is the instant update of my preview. I select all those circles and turn them into a compound, holding Alt and clicking on the boolean add. In order to have a clear inside of the pencils, I duplicate the 3 shapes from earlier. I didn't scale them accordingly, so I have to rescale them, make them a subtract compound and place them inside the compound with the circles. The symbol doesn't like that approach. It's not updating my preview. I'm trying to work with a layer blend mode set to erase instead of the subtract, and it works except it cuts through, so I'm just putting a black shape behind my t-shirt. As this is just my preview, this little hack won't hurt the design. As a final touch, I'm gonna add some grunge. I created these vector images from a photo I traced and cut into smaller sections. I group these and set the layer blend mode of the group to erase. Even though the display of my work area looks okay, the symbol for the preview is playing up again. It's a matter of grouping. If you work with some of these effects, it can take a little bit of fiddling. Putting them into the right position worked. I am duplicating my grunge, set it to normal to add a little bit of white spray on top. I mask this and go into the pixel persona, use a eraser and a solid brush to take out parts, so I just have a few grunge dots here and there. Switching back to the designer persona, I go in and add a triangle at the top of my pencils. I don't like the rounded ends. In hindsight, I probably just needed to adjust the miter setting of my stroke, which I did not think of while I was recording. So an added shape on those 3 pencil tops. That is the design. I can now go in and change my global color, change the white to whatever color I want. The preview gets instantly updated, so everything is set in the right global color. Effectively, it's a one color design. I just added my stamp in red to it. I have since had the t-shirt printed and it came out rather nicely. I was quite happy with the quality. I had a small issue with the sizing or with my food intake lately. The M was a tight fit, so I am riding my bike a bit more in order to fit into these awesome new shirts. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. The Shape Builder is an amazing tool. You can do really cool stuff with it. If you're just starting out, I would suggest watching my basics video to get the hang of the functionality of the Shape Builder. This design might look a little complex, but entangling lines really isn't that hard. There are earlier videos of the Celtic cross where I used the same effect. If you watch those, it is easier to follow than maybe this one, which was recorded more as a time-lapse than a tutorial video. I hope you learned something new anyway. If you did, subscribe to my channel, click on the notification button, leave a like and let me know what you would like to see on my channel, and I will see you again soon.